Hey everyone, we're going to be talking about Lilith, the Puppetmancer from Catharsis Holidays. There's two characters in there. She goes along with Steel Pulse. Lilith is a necromancer that controls the undead. She's an ice elf, and all the ice elves can control undead. They do so in different ways. She controls them through puppet strings. Another character controls them through like a controller or chains, and um, there's one who controls them through music like an opera or a piano. So just different ways each one controls the undead. So we're just going to be talking about her player board setup, how her powers work and how her role works and how everything works, the undead. So we'll just jump right into it. I'll read her setup card first, and we'll go through that. I'll explain the details of the setup and her role card, and then we'll get into the powers and the levels of the undead and all that. So let's jump right into it then. Let me move these aside up here. Okay, so the setup reads, you start the game with 3 level 1 undead in your top power slots and 3 Puppetmancer powers in your bottom slots. Puppetmancer powers are her powers, and undead are also her powers, but they are just different types. As we go over that, you can never have more than 3 undead on your player board at any time. So up here you have the 3 undead. These are level 1s. But yes, because you start with 3 level 1s, so that's how your player board will look like when you start the game. Top powers undead do not lose power slots even after taking 2 damage to a power. So if I were in the enemy attack phase and I assigned 2 damage to this guy, it would be discarded, but this power slot is still okay. I can still keep adding undead to that power slot as long as I spend the necro to do so, which we'll get into later. Only undead can ever go in these power slots. Your character dies if you have no Puppetmancer powers on your player board. There are ways that you can gain an additional power. If she gains an additional power, it will just be one of her normal powers. You can't just add a 4th undead to your player board. But if you do gain an additional power, instead of only having 3 powers, she would have 4 of her own. If you get like a special from a boss deck, one of the like cards that you swap one of your powers, you would swap one of these, but that would be really bad. She's not good with specials. She's not good with champions. We'll see later as to why. She might be with certain champions if you can find some good combos, but just be careful. At the end of each round, discard her. So her always active is at the end of each round, discard all exhausted undead. So if this was flipped over, like these two were flipped over, at the end of the round, they would be discarded. They would go to the discard pile for the level 1 undead. Refreshing morale and healing does not unflip undead. So if someone heals it, you spend morale, they do not unflip. So if you use them and they get exhausted, they're going to be discarded. Whenever you activate a top ability on undead, discard that undead. So if I just activate this one, it gets discarded immediately. If I activate bottom abilities, they become exhausted. So just remember the top abilities, discard them immediately. The bottom abilities, exhaust them, and you can still use them to take a point of damage and discard them. Or if they're still exhausted, when you get to the end of the round, they are just discarded. So it's always better to assign damage to your undead. Yeah, especially when they're already flipped over. Remove level 3 undead from the game after activating any of the abilities. So level 3 are really powerful. It doesn't matter you activate their bottoms or top. They're immediately removed from the game. They're not discarded. You're never going to be able to use them again. You get 1 use out of them. Strings. When activating an ability with strings, gain this bonus for each time strings has been triggered this round. So you see undead have a thing called strings on the bottom. You can see them down here as well. Whenever you activate strings, you also get this bonus effect. How do you activate strings? Her bottom abilities trigger strings. So if you activate a bottom ability on her powers, then activate a bottom ability on these cards, you would trigger strings. I'll just say this real quick. She has a flip ability that triggers activated string effects an additional time. So if you flip this, you can trigger this twice. Say if you activated 2 of these bottoms, like I activated Men Are Weak bottom and Mind Control, I spent 3 dice, and then I activated this and I flipped my roll card, I would get prevent +3 damage and prevent 1 damage here, and whatever this prevent 1 damage and whatever this choose 1 is. So you trigger strings 3 times with your flip effect. But you remember your passive. Let's get into that now. So when your roll is flipped, you want to have access to your passive. So spend Necro on Undead. Her top powers are going to be gaining Necro. The top of her Puppetmancer powers. The abilities on the top. You gain 1 Necro at the start of each round of combat. Necro could be spent anytime during combat and between drawing a new boss deck card. You can spend Necro at the end of a round, you can spend Necro at the start of the round. Necro can be spent anytime during combat and between drawing a new boss deck card. At the end of the combat, my dogs are playing, sorry. Put 1 level 1 undead from your discard onto your player board. So at the end of a combat, there's never-ending combat such as the Ice Elf Lich. You're never going to be able to utilize that. But most decks that, you defeat an enemy, the combat ends, you get to get a level 1 back. So that's pretty cool. You spend 2 Necro, you get a level 1 undead. You spend 5 Necro, you get a level 2 undead. You spend 10 Necro, you get a level 3 undead. And you spend 1 Necro, you can unflip an unexhausted level 1 dead. We might limit this to once per round, so just be aware this may change. Or if you see up here, if you're watching this video now, and it's the future, Necro could be spent anytime during combat between drawing new boss deck cards. We may change it so Necro must be spent only in the player attack phase. We haven't decided yet. That's something that may still change. The flip effect down here is choose 1. Trigger activated string effects in additional time. We talked about that. Take the top card of each other player's deck. So if you have more than just yourself in the game, you can use this. You may activate abilities on these powers as if they were your own. Remove all of these powers from the game at the end of the round. And then the other one is put 1 level 2 undead from your discard to the bottom of its deck. So there you go. That is her role card in a nutshell. So let's go over some of these abilities now. Okay. So we have here this min are weak. This is one of our normal powers. There's nothing written in the back. You activate the top, you gain 3 Necro. We can kind of put Necro right now. This is basically, you can buy 1 level 1 undead with it or get close to a level 2. You deal damage equal to your Necro, lose half of your Necro rounded down after activation. Prevent 1 damage and trigger strings. Remember we talked about boom, we trigger strings, we activate all of the string effects. If we trigger the string effects if we also activate the bottom of an undead. Now just remember, activate the top of this, it's going to exhaust. Activate the bottom of it, it's going to exhaust its normal power. But the undead here, if we activate the top, it discarded. If you activate the bottom, it exhausts as normal. So activate 2 bottoms is a good combination. The reason for that is when she's controlling the undead with her strings, she's taking the time to control them more, so they're more, she's under their command. They're under her command, but when she just uses the top, she basically just, injects her will into them and sends them off, and they do what she needs, and they're gone. So, yeah. This down here, Mind Control, gain 3 Necro. You may activate abilities of target player this round. They may use their own dice to help you activate those abilities. For each ability activated to take 1 damage, you gain 2 Necro. This is a great, if you can activate 3 abilities on their board, you can get 6 Necro, but they take 3 damage. Really good. And the bottom is target another player, deal 1 damage for each exhausted power they have, then exhaust all of their powers. So you can deal 5 damage if they have, or 6 if they have all exhausted powers. Target undead's ability is reduced by 2 dice. So if I use Mind Control here and I target this, I can activate this for free and get the strings effect. But you're not getting anything, you just get to reduce this by 2 dice. So you're preventing 2 damage on 2 dice. You're exhausting this, but if you use your roll, you can get more damage prevention. You can see why this character is pretty complex. Now, let's say I had 5 Necro and I spent it. Or, let's go over this. Boom, these are exhausted. I really need them back. I really need to, there's a lot of damage coming through. Or, yeah, say there's a lot of damage coming through. You can unflip this by spending 1. And then if you want to at the current state right now, you could spend another 1 to unflip this, and then say there's 4 damage coming in. I could be like, okay, I'm going to take all 4 damage here. Or what you could do, if you could be like, well, okay, I just want to take 4 damage. I assign 2 here, assign 1 here, and 1 here, and then you took 4 damage. All your undead are gone. You have 4 Necro. You can spend it to get 2 back. So you can fill 2 slots here. So it's always good to unflip, especially once you get a level 2 out. Or, you can't unflip with the level 2. But once you get level 2s out, you really want to protect them. You want to use their abilities. Once they become exhausted, they're going to be discarded, but you can still use them to take a point of damage, which is great. So if I use the bottom, let's get into a level 2 right now. Say we have 5 Necro. Say these powers are gone. Let's just put them right back here. I buy a level 2. Let's buy a different one. Yeah, let's buy this one. This one combos with Unmei. It's a special one. It's about like a samurai god. So this is a level 2 undead here. So I spend that 5 Necro to get it. It fills this slot. And now it's a new turn. If I activate the top of this, you can see it deals 7 damage, multi-attack 7. You flip with Unmei, it's going to do a lot of damage. You can choose another player's ability. It gains multi-attack equal to the damage it deals. So if you target like Unmei, who has a deal 15 damage ability, it could deal 15 damage, multi-attack 15. She could flip. There's a lot of combos you could do with this. The level 2s are really strong. Unmei's attacks deal plus 2 damage this round. So there's actually just a bonus for Unmei herself. Deal 5 damage, multi-attack 3. Strings all attacks from all players deal plus 1 damage. You need 5 dice for this. There's ways to trigger this though. You could just flip your roll, trigger it once. You could activate Min or Weak, flip your roll. Now you get this effect twice. You spent all 6 of your dice to get it. If you had Sorotin in the game, or you're able to get more dice from someone like Leme, you could get more string effects on this and combo off with this with a lot of people in the game. It's hard to get more than 1 or 2 activations with this, but there are ways to do it. So if you activate the bottom and exhaust, you can use it to take damage. If you use the top, it's immediately discarded. So I'll put that back here. Now let's say we have 11, and like you took a damage here. I want to unflip that. Boom. Or you use this and you really want to unflip it. Remember, you can always spend 1 to unflip a level 1 undead. So the level 3s are set aside. Here are the level 3 undeads. These are really powerful. Let's go over. So I'm just deciding which one could be cool. Let's just go over the Avatar of Time here. So I spend my 10 Necro, I get this. The Avatar of Time, the top is deal 10 damage on 2 dice. The party takes a second player attack phase before the enemy attack phase. You cannot refresh powers before the second player attack phase. Just reminding you don't spend morale. The enemy attack phase is still happening. It's still the same round. So if it's round 2, you just get 2 player attack phases. Each player may activate, and this is discarded, remember, tops discard. And on level 3s, as we talked about with the setup, level 3s are discarded no matter you use the top or the bottom. So you get 1 use out of these and they're permanently gone. The bottom is each player may activate any 1 ability for free. So 5 people in the game, boom, they can all activate a power for free, an ability on their player board for free. Remove activated powers from the game, so they're permanently removed. So, like, for example, if I use Corpse Explosion, it's gone. That power slot is gone. It doesn't replace. It's removed. In a solo game, you can activate any 2 abilities for free. So, with Lilith, I can activate these 2. So think about, like, I activate this, and I can just, activate 2 more of these and get some bonus effects for my strings and stuff like that. 1 player can activate a second ability for free. Remove that power from the game after activation. This language will be corrected. These are old cards. This will read that 1 player may activate an additional power, because this way Lilith can activate 3 powers. And we may make it so Lilith, she can activate her undead as well. It's not very clear here, but she can activate her undead with this and they get removed immediately. So, very cool. This would be removed if you used it. And I'll go ahead and show one more here. Let's go look at the Seer of the Past. This one's really cool. And just remember, once you start running out of undead, they all get discarded, removed from the game. You're going to be having you're going to be having a lot of trouble, because you're only going to be able to get the undead from the discard back by killing an enemy, right? You kill an enemy, combat ends, you get 1 back. So you need to manage your undead very well. That's why there's to spend 1 to unflip an undead, because once you run out, you're out. But this will help you a little bit. Go through the past 15 boss deck cards. For every enemy, deal 2 damage. For every trap, prevent 1 damage. For every event, return a die to your dice pool. All other card types gain 2 Necro. Bottom is swap your undead with all discarded undead. So you swap your level 1 pile. So if you have 1 card in your level 1 pile, you can swap all level 1 all your level 1 with the level 1s in a discard pile and get your whole deck back. And then replace one undead. It can fill an empty slot. That's what the strings does. So you can just, right here, you could just put undead here with the string effects. The great thing about this power is that, hey, you can get your undead back. But you spend 10 necro, you may not get this. You may get the Angel of Agony or the Avatar of Time. So you're not guaranteed to get this to get your undead back. It is a great way to get your undead back, like your level 1s and level 2s, but it's not guaranteed you're going to get this. And you spend 10 necro, so you might want to use that top because that's a lot of damage you can do. You go through the last 15 boss deck cards with 3 dice. That's her in a nutshell. Let me go over a couple more of her powers just to showcase it. So like Corpse Explosion here, her powers are really unique. You gain 2 necro and you reduce the cost of all top abilities of your undead by 2 dice this round. Minimum 1. You may not spend necro this round after activating this ability. At the end of the round, any remaining undead are discarded. Each deals 3 damage. So like, you can activate the bottoms still, and then get them all exhausted, and then you discard all of them and deal 9 damage if you had 3 out, but then you would have nothing to take damage from the oncoming enemy. And remember, you don't, you get 1 back killing an enemy, but spending morale and stuff like that, you don't fill the undead slots. The bottom is deal 2 damage. You may discard an undead to deal plus 3 damage. Triggered strings. And then one more for powers, gain 7 necro, really good necro outlet. Discard all undead. This has been changed to 6 actually. Discard all undead on your player board. Replace them with an equal number of undead from your discard. This is a great way because you can get level 2s. So assuming control, you could get a bunch of level 1s out and then use this equal number. Yeah, you can use this to get level 2s out. So if you have 3 level 2s in your discard pile and 3 level 1s on your player board, you can swap them out and get those level 2s back, which is really great. But remember, you can't spend that 1 necro to unflip an exhausted level 2 undead. So your player board may be in trouble if you have a bunch of level 2s and then you end the round and you know you just have an empty board because you have to discard them all. You would never be able to swap a level 3s because level 3s are removed from the game right after, so they never hit your discard pile. So that's why level 3s are removed from the game. They're too powerful to get a second activation out of them. But that's Lilith in a nutshell. This video is 17 minutes long. I am extremely sorry. She is very complex. I hope this helps people understand her. Here's her special dice as well. I like to show those off. I hope this video helps people understand her. And if you have any questions, just comment below or join our Discord and I'll answer them. I went into more detail than I had to, I believe. But I just want to be very clear, and there's some people that may not understand her just by reading her card, especially if you're a new player. So I like to make these videos longer so that it's very clear. But yeah, still, if you have questions, just comment and let me know. Thank you. Bye, everyone.